があるとマイクみたいになりたい。でも電話してくれない。オークランドとブックレンドから世界チャンピオンバーチャルプローズ始まるよ。バーチャルプローズ。バーチャルプローズ。
Boy, you should know that I had you on my mind, secret admirer. I've been watching you. Should I swing my way? Sure look good to me. Now would you please swing my way? Should I swing my way?
Episode 104 of that World Champion Sound Virtual Pros podcast. My name is Al, aka Henny Omega, aka the Bandman, aka Bushi Nagata, aka Two Phone Scorpio, aka Super Brazy, aka Pete Gas Break Dip Dip, aka No Speak Broke Boy, call me Shinsuke Stack a Mill Up. And with me, one half of the Holy Scheming Army, one half of the Bread Hunters, one half of the Heavenly Thotties, one half of the Lyrical Violence Connection, my main oos, Mike.
Hey, what's up, motherfuckers? It's Mike, a.k.a. Sticky Fuji, a.k.a. D'Lo Brownbag, a.k.a. Dr. Swagner Jr., a.k.a. Takoyaki Hanma.
Today's topic, the 2020 predictions episode. Al and Mike break out that crystal ball once again and get all mystical about the world of professional wrestling. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTL Pros. Hit us on iTunes. Hit us on Spotify. Hit us on Discord. If you want to invite, just let either of us know. If you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. We got some questions, Mike, in the mailbag. You mind starting off with that first one?
Sure. First one's from DC. Says, what's up, fellas? DC here. A.k.a. Chris Paul George Hill, a.k.a. PJ Tucker Carlson, a.k.a. Vernon Maxwell J. Friedman. One, Viceland, New Japan. If I were an EP, I would create a Breaking Grounds type of show, but use the New Japan dojo. We hear stories about what goes on there, but to see a first-hand account of behind the scenes would be nice as hell. Two, Mike, what are your thoughts on the original 90210? And three, Al, outside of the superstar stars, who were your favorite Sacramento Kings players and why? I like the original 90210. I thought it was a fun show. There's a lot of, not a lot, but there's a handful of pretty wacky episodes that kind of, I don't know, just never really get mentioned, even though they're fairly wacky. Like there's a Christmas episode where their bus crashed, but then Jesus saved them all. And like no one ever talks about that, and it's kind of like a weird thing to happen in a TV show for teens. So there's some pretty good episodes of the original run.
The Kings had superstars on their team. I wasn't aware of that. It's interesting. It's funny you asked that, DC, because my brother and I were talking about Marcus Thornton of all people the other day. Have you heard of Marcus Thornton, Mike?
That does not actually ring a bell. So no.
He was a guy, I want to say, like, he played around 2012, 2013. Anyway, he was a nobody, but he had such a silky jump shot, so I'm going to go with him. To speak on Viceland and New Japan, yeah, shout out to Damian Abraham. I would like to see him host that, for sure, if that happened. I miss Breaking Grounds, actually. That was a super good show for the network. Next email is from Emilio, titled Alexa Bliss Driving Music. Sup, pros? An early mid-2000s pop rock band put out an Alexa Bliss song. I'm guessing she was into this kind of music at some point. How would you react if a band you liked at age 10 wrote a song about you? How fast are you driving on the freeway to this shit? I guess if the Smashing Pumpkins wrote a song about me now, I'd be kind of pumped about it. How fast am I driving? Probably 95. Mike, did you hear this song? Because I did, and I didn't last very long.
Just to clear this up, it's not like they surprised Alexa Bliss with a song. I'm sure she knew about it, and I think she's a vocal supporter of this band Bowling for Soup, who for those who don't know, had their heyday in probably the 90s. So, probably, again, like, she was probably younger than 10, honestly. I don't know. But I think she still actively likes them, so she's probably down to do this. It's kind of cringy, because Bowling for Soup is like that poppy pop punk, and, that 90s style pop punk, and they're old men now, and they're in the video with Alexa Bliss, and they're in like a kid's room, a kid's bedroom, and I don't know, man. And their lyrics are really cringy. It's a really bad song. But like, like I said, I'm pretty sure they probably got her permission, and she was in the video, so she's probably pretty pumped about it. What was it?
I know the name Bowling for Soup, but I can't really point out any of their songs. I'm just gonna assume that they sound like OK Go, based on your description. So I'll go with that.
I mean, they're worse than that, but okay. But yeah, they're just like a Warped Tour band back in the 90s. How fast? I don't know how fast I would be driving, so I'm just gonna skip that. Next thing is from next one's no. Am I skipping one? Adrian. It's a long one. Goblin Ghoul, a zombie with no conscience. Hey, virtual perverts. So Shayna Baszler is a vampire now, huh? That's cool. Y'all like vampires and boogeymen in American wrestling? It's the best. Wouldn't mind seeing a new brood with someone like Sarah Logan, who was never cosplaying a Viking, but is an actual vampire Viking from like the 9th century. Ruby Riott as the horror punk vampire on some Night of the Living Dead vibe. Throw Danhausen and his teeth in there too. All led by Stokely being his true vampire and Brooklyn self. That'll bang out these coveted YouTube hits. It'd be great to see Edge lead a counter group like the Lost Boys, where he must kill the lead vampire in order to no longer be a vampire himself. Him, Shorty G as Corey Feldman, Becky, and I don't know, Tino Sabatelli as Vampire Hunter sounds good. Anyways, couple questions. What's your favorite monster, and what wrestler do you think would play them best? Saw a lot of blood this week with the Shayna bit, but that Naito buckle and even this dude Robert Anthony hit a nice one against Kylie Ray at Freelance on Friday. So what are your favorite blood spots from 2019? Stay dangerous, Adrian. And then his AK is like rap lyrics, and I'm not doing that, man. I don't know why. So I think they said on commentary that I think they made reference to her being a vampire. Not like, oh my god, she's a vampire, but I think they described her as a vampire. I can't even remember, even though it was only 2 days ago. But I don't know why they're so quick to jump the gun to vampire. They should just like leave it ambiguous. She should just be a woman who bites people. That's it's much more menacing than just saying, oh, she's pretending to be a vampire. So I hope they don't go with that vampire shit. As far as my favorite monster, I don't know if you meant like classic monsters, or because it's his favorite famous monster, and that's what they usually call the universal monsters. Probably Frankenstein. I'm not one of those people that buy into that you have to call him Frankenstein's monster, because just fucking grow up. It's okay to just say Frankenstein. Frankensteins are pretty sick in my book. Who would play them? I mean, that's an obvious great role for many wrestlers. You got Kane, you got Braun Strowman. Anybody can play a Frankenstein, really. So it's you can put anybody in there.
I'm not going to do the rap thing either, Adrian, but it's commendable. It's really good. I don't want to do it because I won't do it justice. I'm going to assume that they're jumping to vampire because Paul Heyman, he loves vampires. He's on record as saying so.
Really? What do you mean by on record?
I mean, like, when he wrote for ECW, there's an interview where he was like, you know what's hot? Vampires. And then we got Kevin Thorne, right?
That never happened. Shut up.
Dude, it for sure happened. I'll fucking pull the interview up for next episode. And I think, and I quote, he says, you know what's hot these days? Vampires. Listeners, Vertbag Universe, back me up on this one. He fucking said that for sure in an interview. So I'm with you guys. I think they're leaning towards Shayna Baszler as a vampire. Next email is from Daniel, titled Too Much Wrestling. Hey guys, I was thinking how to put these disparate points into one email, but I noticed a link. Last weekend, a local film festival showed My Dad is a Heel Wrestler. I went with 2 friends, and my Saturday afternoon was lost to wrestling. I went on the treadmill later that week and put on Hiromu Ryuli while running. And then I was at work, pulled out a pencil, and started writing with it during a meeting, then realizing, with intense shame, that it was a WrestleMania 30 pencil. now that I'm realizing, even in my non-wrestling related hobbies and work, that wrestling is encroaching on everything, I don't even consider myself that into it. Am I kidding myself? Please help, Vertbags. Also, I found out this week that Heidenreich was in the Road Warriors. Do you have any memories of this hellish real-world instance? Daniel, a.k.a. the Parasite Delight, a.k.a. Bong Joon Too Many Hoes in Here. Just own it, Daniel. So, today I was doing up some cleaning, in my house, and I noticed that I have not one, not two, not three, but 4 Akira Taue posters. And I was like, as someone in their mid-30s, there's no way one person should own all these posters. So, I've accepted it. In terms of Heidenreich, no, I don't remember him in the Road Warriors, honestly. I mean, the last thing I remember is him fighting near that buffet, the Golden Corral, right? But nothing about him being the third the third Road Warrior. Do you remember this, Mike?
Yeah, I don't. I remember like brief instances of Heidenreich because when I was definitely just like watching wrestling maybe once a month, if that. And it was before I was really checking up on it on the internet either. So, and I kind of remember him being in that outfit, but that was about it. That was at a time in wrestling when everybody hated it. So, okay, next email, and then I think we might have a Discord question or two is from Uncle Franklin. It's a New Japan Road Report. He says, "Listen up, it's little Uncle Franklin. I went to New Japan show in Miami, Florida, where I feel like I was robbed of $60. The show was a complete joke and front row was $200 for a show main evented by Chase Owens. Cool thing about being loud and drunk when entering a wrestling venue is the seat organizer normally spots me and my obnoxious friends and moves us closer to the floor. It happens all the time. TNA saw me and my boys come and Borash was like, move those super fans down, get them up close to the action. Unfortunately, whoever was in charge of the seats moved us somewhere that had already been paid for, so we had to go back to the poor people section with some guy who came by himself in a blue demon mask and kept yelling to kick him in the balls. The marquee reads NJPW, not CPT, but I digress. For you guys who don't know what CBT means, that means cock and ball torture. The best match of the night was TJ Perkins teaming with Nagata, and that was the opener. Archer and some Zayn guy was cool too. Burt called Archer a sorry sack of shit and got challenged to jump the rail. The rest of the show is trash. GOD have to be the worst wrestlers going. I have no problem with Rock and Roll Express doing comedy matches on a stacked show, but this wasn't the place for it. Also, we all love New Japan's very own Colt Cabana, a New Japan original. I think at some point we have to address that New Japan doesn't care about audiences outside of New York and California. I can't believe they treated Miami like a town of yokels, just happy to see them. Sorry for the long rundown. Nothing but love for Al. Mike, I'm willing to put all this behind us if you just apologize to me and the other pants to ankle pissers. Little Unc Franklin. I don't know New Japan's deal. I kind of think that maybe they don't think there's as much local wrestling as there is. Maybe they just think there's like WWE and AEW and then maybe a couple other things, and that people don't have access to wrestling pretty much wherever they live, and that paying $60 for nosebleed seats or cheap seats to see Chase Owens, no offense to Chase Owens if he's a listener of the show, but to see him main event a show, it's kind of shitty. So I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but that sounds like a great road report. I'm glad I didn't pay $60 for this show.
There is some offense to Chase Owens here because he wrestled twice. He was the main event in 8-man tag, and then the match before, it was him. Wait, did I say Chase Owens?
Yeah.
Sorry. David Finlay wrestled twice. He was in the match before. Him and Juice Robinson wrestled Chase Owens, so I guess they both wrestled twice. And Yujiro Takahashi. That's crazy. You paid $60. Sorry to hear that.
Okay.
Is there one more email?
No, but there's a few there's a few of these goddamn fucking discords. I think there's more than I thought there was. Oh wait, we read that one. We read the one from Welf last time. WrestleMania season. Sup Pros is from Papadopoulos. With WrestleMania season coming up, I was gonna ask what you guys would book for a virtual produced show, but fuck fantasy booking. Against better judgment, I'm probably flying out to Florida for the collective shows. GCW's For the Culture and Tokyo Joshi Pro are running at the same time. I don't know which one I'm going to yet. Do I see Too Cold Scorpio and Crime Time, or take a mark pick with Maki Ito and Raika Saiki? Have you guys ever had a tough decision between two shows going on at the same time? Yours truly, Cristobal, aka Sniff Busick, aka Spliff Bezos, aka Tim Tam Nakano, aka Ayo. You dealing with the Vert Factor, Uncle Cracker Mike. I would probably go with the people you're probably have very little chance to see again in the States over Too Cold Scorpio and Crime Time. That's just me, though. I guess WrestleMania is the only time I would have a hard time choosing between shows, but I don't know. It's not that I'm a lazy person. It's not really that hard to choose. I know I'm dying any minute now. It doesn't matter what I do. There's no hard decisions in my life anymore.
I've never been double booked, as they would say, so no, I can't relate to this.
The next one's from Stan Handsome. Is Sammy Callahan's gimmick that he's every wraparound shades guy you went to high school with who's now a campus cop at the community college in your hometown, but drives around in a blacked out Punisher Skull Ford Fusion? Shit. I think that's, I don't know if the shit part was a part of that. Yeah, that's my girlfriend, who had no context of Sammy Callahan before seeing him for the first time, pretty much had that same view. So I think that's kind of the aura he exudes, and that's the aura he wants to exude. So I think you are 100% correct.
Cosign.
Next one is, this is the last one. This is from Brian. It's looking like this time around that the XFL is going to be much more successful. Much of that having to do with appealing to football fans instead of wrestling fans. If you could still force one aspect of wrestling into the NFL or another sport, what would it be? Brian, a.k.a. Diamond Dallas Renegades, a.k.a. Ernest the L.A. Wildcat Miller, a.k.a. St. Louis Battlehawks and Animal, a.k.a. Randy Tampa Bay Viper Orton, a.k.a. Seattle Super Dragon. It's pretty impressive. Yeah. I would like I don't know what sport. I think it might probably work better in something like, basketball or hockey or something, but it would be cool to have like a continuing kind of belt, like a championship that went on weekly instead of just at the end of the year. So, but yeah, I don't think that would really work in football, but I think basketball, where you have like several games a week, would be a little easier to implement that.
I would love if each team got this one thing, just like they would get it like every year, where they can just restart the damn match, even if like a play went against them. Like, for example, if the Niners on 3rd and 15, when they blew it, if they can just say restart the damn match, I'd be super pumped about that. That'd have been great 2 weeks ago. Those were our emails and questions. If you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. Before we get into Two-Man Scramble, just to reference this Paul Heyman and Vampires controversy, 2006, Heyman's new vision for ECW. I meant ECW on WWF, aka WWECW. On Heyman's new vision for ECW, they ask him, vampires in ECW? And Heyman explains, they're called bite clubs, and it is kids, kind of like the gothic scene now. See, he talks about how vampires are hot, Mike, so I'm pretty sure they're leaning towards Shayna Baszler as a vampire. It's happening.
I guess,
It happened, dude. Read the interview. 2006, dude. He's been plotting for 14 years. Anyway, Two-Man Scramble time, Mike. I got some things. So it's 2020, and I don't know if you got the memo, but a lot of comeback shows are happening this year. Toryumon just had theirs, and I'm pretty sure Gaia's having one too. Rage Against the Machine's fucking coming back soon as well. If you had to bring back any very specific 2000s wrestling act to make money off of, what would you do?
2000s wrestling act. I think a lot of them get brought back, so it's kind of hard to think of one that stayed dead.
I'll I'll go first. I mean, for me, it's a very Abercrombie look. They have the no sleeve vests on. Where's the Mean Street Posse at these days? What are they up to?
Yeah.
If Chikara's listening, get Pete Gas, Joey Abs, the other guy. I'd watch that.
They did shockingly bring back the Spirit Squad, which I thought was pretty smart. I always thought they were entertaining. I think the Florida Brothers were a little ahead of their time. And I didn't really get to see much of them because that was that transition between tape and DVD, but I always liked them and their gimmick. So I think that would work again. I don't know if there's really any money in that, but I wouldn't mind a revival of the Florida Brothers.
Was Omega 2000 or was that before 2000?
That was before 2000.
Actually,
no. I think it was. I think it might have been early 2000s, actually.
I mean, Matt Hardy's a hot free agent. Like, if you're listening, Matt, I'd watch it. Next topic. So after almost 6 years, Mike, I finally did it. I ended my day one oos relationship with the WWE Network.
Oh, man.
Reason being is that, like, the only reason why I kept it, which was NXT Weekly, it's just free with cable these days. So I just figured, like, why the fuck do I still have this? So I promise I'm not doing any market research or anything. And I think I might have asked this before, but, like, what's the one thing that would get you to re-up with the network?
Well, very quickly, I actually did resubscribe this month just to watch the Royal Rumble because I tried to watch illegally, and I think it froze for a second. And I was like, I'm not dealing with this. So I'm a fucking adult. I can pay $10 to watch Royal Rumble. So I got it for a month, and then I canceled it like a couple days later so I didn't forget. And obviously they give you the whole month. And so it was like, oh yeah, you got until January 26th. And I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Or February 26th. And then I saw an ad like a couple days ago that February 27th is the R-Truth 24/7 premiere. And I'm just like, oh, god damn it. They're doing a documentary on fucking R-Truth the day after my network gets canceled. I'm going to fight it. I'm not going to renew just for that. But I am pretty pissed off that I'm going to be missing that R-Truth documentary by a day. I mean, outside of technical things like it working, like as far as footage, I don't know. There's, it's like they have so much, but they just present it in such a shitty way that it fucking sucks. So it's more just like cosmetic things. But if they just dropped ECWs by the year, I mean, I guess they even already have that. So yeah, I guess there's really nothing, honestly.
I was thinking ECW as well, but they fucking did it, and I didn't watch like more than 4 episodes. Yeah. I mean, they were great. I know there's some events that they still haven't dropped. I don't know if It Ain't Seinfeld is on there. I'm sure it's not. Or
I think them getting rid of like
Sandman barbed wire match.
Them getting rid of the hidden gems is just like the one thing that pretty much everybody liked. And they're just like, I'll get rid of that. Like I don't know, man. That just seems real shitty. It would have to be like ridiculous Japanese shit probably and Mexican stuff, just like stuff that there's probably no actual possible chance of ever happening for me to like really be pumped to resubscribe again.
I was thinking that, but I think the deal breaker would be if they just made Kana-chan TV and Major Wrestling Figure Podcast exclusive on the network, then I'd probably be all in. I was offended though, because I feel like when other people I knew canceled in the past, they would get that last screen where they're like, all right, listen, we'll give you 3 months free. Just fucking stay with us. And as a day one oos, they didn't fucking give that to me. So
not me either.
Fuck you, WWE Network. It's ridiculous. Anyway, my last question. So for the longtime listeners out there, I guess everyone's a little aware of how wound up I am in the world of collecting wrestling merch. And I was recently blessed with a Super J Cup 94 jacket that was previously owned by VRTL favorite Shinjiro Otani. I've been going back and forth on this for a while now, but I think I really want to wear it. But there are some pretty suspect stains on it. It kind of looks like foundation makeup. It's probably blood. I don't know. I mean, what was that, 26 years ago? But, I mean, given that I think this was like a participant exclusive item, and I think 3 people, to my count, are now in heaven, so it makes it 11 people that have this jacket, including me. Would it be like wrestling sacrilege if I just washed it?
I mean, you own it. It's up to you. I would like to think maybe that he smashed somebody and like it was outside and he just put his coat down to be a gentleman and then her makeup got all over it. So maybe you want to keep the stains. Maybe you want to keep the stains and wear it. I think that's my vote.
Friend of the show, Bahu, he made this beautiful shadow box for Hayabusa's jacket, and I was like, maybe I'll do that, but that looks pretty, like, labor intensive, so I don't know. I might just, like, leave it folded in a box somewhere for now. We'll see. That's all I had.
Okay. First up, I don't really like the Patreons. I kind of, it's just whatever to me, where I'm just like, this isn't worth it. I don't want more of this. But every once in a while, a good Patreon comes along, and I want to give this person some free advertisement. Not a sponsor, like Gothic King Cobra would say, not a sponsor. This is just free advertisement. But IVP Videos, he's a guy who does, like, he sends you DVDs and stuff. He also has a Twitter, I think, at IVP Videos. He started a Patreon, and for $5 a month, he gives you a Google Drive of like 50 to 60 random DVDs. Obviously, it's not a DVD. It's over the internet, but it's like an ISO file, so it's basically a DVD. It's just like a grab bag of like 50 things. He has a lot of like the shit that I'm into, like a lot of the late 90s, early 2000 Japanese wrestling. So I was a day one subscriber to this. It did not let me down. I was just watching some like Osaka Pro the other day, and it was really bringing me back. It's for $5 a month. I think it's like a really good service for you to have just enough stuff where you're not going to be searching around all day and just never decide on anything. And it also gives you a little incentive to actually watch it because you're kind of paying for it. And ISO is obviously not the most versatile file unless you're just actually burning DVDs, and I don't know why anybody would want to do that, but maybe you will. Maybe you will just want to hoard all this stuff and burn all these DVDs, but ISO still work in VLC player, and you could always convert them. So yeah, check this out if you're into just getting random DVDs every month.
I mean, since I just freed up $10 for my wrestling budget, I might have to do this as well. I saw some Battle Arts with Greg Valentine.
Yeah.
I was interested in, so I might have to partake.
Yeah, it's pretty great shit. My next one I was brought up earlier is the XFL started last weekend. Al, how much of the XFL did you watch?
Maybe like a play or two. I'm a little disenchanted with football right now with the Niners loss, so fuck sports in general.
I watched a solid amount of it. I watched most of it. They're lucky that their first game was probably the most entertaining game. And I think they have that points rule they have is pretty wild. But for you guys who don't know, instead of just kicking for an extra point or going for a 2-point conversion, you basically line up for 1, 2, or 3 points. There's no kicking an extra point. You have to line up, and you start at a different line of scrimmage depending on what number of point you want. I don't think it's working quite as they wanted to, because I don't think I saw maybe like one conversion the whole time I was watching, so it's not the best conversion rate. But if you guys aren't familiar, if you go to like a bar or something, or you have like an office pool, you do like squares where you bet, like Monday Night Football, you put like $5 on a square, and whatever the last two digits, the number digits are each quarter, you win money. And real football, it's like if you get like a 2 or an 8, you're probably fucked. You're probably not getting any money. But with this football, you can get any point combination possible now. So it brings a real rush to gambling, which is cool. They're also very gambling friendly. One of Al's predictions last year for our prediction show last year was making wrestling more gambler friendly. They haven't really did that, but they did make XFL very gambling friendly. So that's cool. But the football itself is pretty shitty. It's people are fooling themselves or saying it's great. It's not great. The last game of the Battlehawks game, the last game of the weekend was, I think, exclusively 5-yard passes, just like 27 5-yard passes, and it's just like, oh my, it's like the most boring kind of football you could watch. There was like one breakout play, I think, per match, but yeah, I think like the Battlehawks, like the half was at 9-6, and that was after 2 teams scored a touchdown, and it was still 9-6, and it was just like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. So anybody who's saying this is like great football is really fooling themselves or just never watches football. It's not good. It's good enough to drink beer too. I fully think this is just going to be a thing that kind of fades into the background after a few games, and it's just going to exist, and we're going to kind of not really think about it. And I think that's why they don't mention it on Raw. So it can be one of those things where, because I was thinking about it, like, I have no fucking clue what came on those channels before the XFL was invented, and it was only invented last weekend. So, they can just keep it on television, and, because no one remembers what was on Sunday at 2:00 on Fox or NBC during non-football season, so it doesn't matter. It could just run, and a finite amount of people will be interested in it. It's fine. I don't think anybody's going to go nuts over it, but it's definitely a better start than last time, I think.
A couple of things. It's good to hear that there are people that are championing the work rate of XFL over a real football league like the NFL. So I'm assuming it's just like 3 hours of check down passes, which doesn't sound fun at all.
See, that's the other thing. So I was really pumped because they are stressing at first that it was going to speed up the game, and they've put in all these rules to speed up the game, but it's still 3 hours, and it's just like, dude, what the fuck is going on? Like, how do you have all these rules? There's so many. They only get 2 timeouts. The play clock is 5 seconds shorter. The clock runs continuously more, and it's still somehow 3 hours. It's like they can't fucking do it. And I think that's the key. If they could get this down to an hour and a half for real, I think it would be great. But yeah, that's the one thing keeping this from just being like kind of mediocre college football, basically.
Square sounds cool. I mean, I'm a degenerate gambler, so maybe I'll check this out next week, but I don't even have a team to root for. I thought the San Francisco Demons were in play, but no, they're not. So who'd I root for? Who's closest to California? Is that an LA team? If it is, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, I think you got LA or Seattle. Those are your choices.
The 2 worst fucking cities for sports. I'm out.
Okay, my next one is... Why didn't I... Oh, yeah. So a few days ago, Dave Meltzer, Wrestling Observer, there was a interview he did with Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. They're talking about the story of All In selling out. No one's ever heard this before. No one's ever heard the story of All In selling out. So it was brand new. It was the first time hearing it. But anyways, there's a point where they're talking about the Cody and Dustin match, which I think happened on a different pay-per-view. But then, like, Dave Meltzer is talking about how when he was there live, like, he looked behind him and his lady was crying, and then he looked at his son and his son was crying, and I got a kick out of that, man. Just exposing his son as a crier right on public radio, national radio, global radio even. And so I tweeted about it, like, haha, all his Dave Meltzer's son bullies are going to hear this and want to bully him or blah, blah, blah. And it seems like not like a ton of people, but it seems like at least a handful of people out there were pro crying during wrestling. And I don't know, man. You should. I should state for new listeners, I think crying is hilarious. Like, it's just like, I mean, not, if something bad happens, like if something's really depressing, like there's a death or something like that, or you get really horrible news, I understand crying. But, when like entertainment makes you cry, it's just like sack up or something. Like, I don't know. Like, I just don't have those feelings inside of me. So it's very funny to me when people cry, and, even doubly funny when it's wrestling, because wrestling is so silly to me. Even the most serious wrestling is still silly. So, new contest. Please, listeners out there, please write in to virtualpros64@gmail.com with, all the times you've cried watching wrestling. And I'll try to read these emails with a straight face and see if I can do it. And if I can't, then you win. But yeah, I was really surprised by how many people were like, "Yeah, man, that was a match to really cry about, Cody and Dustin Rhodes." And it's just like, I guess, man, I don't fucking know.
I mean, I've never seen the match, but was this the line that was dropped where Cody was like, "I'm not looking for a partner. I'm looking for a brother"? Is that what happens?
I guess,
is that
man.
what?
I don't know. It doesn't matter what happens. Nothing's gonna make me cry during wrestling. It just seems like preposterous to me to even think, unless I got kicked in the balls at wrestling or, you know, something like I was getting carved up, maybe I would cry then. But just watching people is not going to make me emotional.
I don't know, dude. I don't mean to call bullshit on this, but I think friend of the show, Daniel from Check the Tape, he might have dropped a gem on you, Mike. He said you got a little emotional about Daniel Bryan retiring. Is that true or false?
I don't know. I wasn't really emotional. He was just like talking through it. I was trying to watch it and I was getting fucking upset because he was like actually retiring. But and I wanted to see it, but no, I wasn't fucking.
You didn't shed a thug tear for Daniel Bryan? Okay.
No, Jesus Christ. Last thing, and it's something that I left off the mixtape, but I might put it on there just for posterity. Not that it's going to disappear from the internet or anything, but I know Al watched this video. Major Figures podcast dropped maybe the greatest video in the history of their YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, Major Figures is Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins of the WWE. They have a YouTube channel where they go like to stores and buy wrestling dolls and talk about them and stuff like that. Zack Ryder is not always, but he has several videos where he freaks out about something. And so, most recently he posted a video. I don't remember the name. It's something like Broski doesn't get his dolls or something like that. And, he films himself or trying to order. So I guess Ringside Collectibles made some kind of special, you know, limited to exclusive to their website doll version of like a Major Figures kind of like inside joke sort of thing. And they were like those He-Man doll molds that they've been making that look dumb. And he filmed a video of him trying to get these dolls when they dropped. But first of all, he states right in the beginning that he has like the 000 versions, which I believe is like getting like a test press basically. So he already has these dolls, but he wanted to get like the commoner version, what me and you would get, and he wanted to do it I guess the honorable way, because I'm sure he could just call Ringside Collectibles and ask them to hold them for him because they're his doll. It's him. Yeah. But I don't know. I guess he wanted to do the honorable way, so he like, you know, lines up at 11:59 right before it goes on sale, you know, with his phone and his computer, and he's going to log in and order these dolls. And what precedes is 15 minutes of him just fucking freaking out because he can't get through. And it's pretty interesting just from the aspect of, or the perspective from, I'm sure there's more people out there besides me and Al who've gone through this kind of thing where you are trying to get through a website to get something, and it's not working out for you. And it's really funny to see it like on camera, see it happen to somebody else. It's really funny to see him do this right in front of his girlfriend, who is probably so fucking over this behavior at this point. It's just a very compelling video. Al pointed out that he makes like the biggest rookie mistake where he doesn't even log into the website when he first starts trying, which makes me think two things. Either this was fake to an extent, or he really did not expect it to sell this well, and he was just like, I'll make a cute video or I struggle for a few minutes to get the doll and then I get it, and then it actually literally backfired on him. But I don't know. It's like, it's such a weird watch. I can't believe he was a good enough sport to upload this, because it's not like this is like laughing with him. It's all laughing at him. Like, this is a real embarrassing, cringy video, and maybe he doesn't see it that way. But I would watch it while you can if you haven't seen it out there. But Al, what are your thoughts on this video?
I mean, we have a new Zack Ryder public freakout champion video. I mean, previously, the title holder was him spending $1,000 on an AWA cardboard ring. And he's really jacked up about it. And then he opens it, and then there's a rip on the apron, I guess. And you can tell he's pretty fucking pissed off. I mean, I guess I would be too if I dropped a rack on something and it wasn't as promised. But I mean, like, as someone that's pretty deep in the collectible world, like even this morning, Ralph Lauren, they dropped a re-release of this casino collection, and I had no chance. And I was like, well, that's how it goes with fucking buying limited edition shit on the internet. Like, whatever, let's get what I can. Zack Ryder has no composure, and it's now pretty gratifying to see why he gets no looks on Monday Night Raw, because he is an all-time bozo. This fucking video is incredible. Like I said, there's a new champion. in the Zack Ryder public freakout video, I guess, title race. And this is it. It's like, I think 12 minutes of him just panicking. And I feel so bad for Chelsea that she deals with this on a daily basis. I mean, related, did you see that video of him calling his fiancée, asking which Shane Douglas figure he had? Because there's two of them, apparently. One has a big head and one doesn't. That was unbelievable to me, but did you see this?
No, you told me about it. I think I tried to watch that video, but it was real long and boring, so I never got to that part. But yeah, that's pretty low too.
Can you imagine getting that call from your SO asking about fucking Shane Douglas and which figure that they had? I don't know. It's just kind of mind-boggling to me personally, but you know, that's love. That's love, and maybe you should get over those things. Up next, today's topic, the 2020 predictions episode. Al and Mike break out that crystal ball once again and get all mystical about the world of professional wrestling. Please stay tuned.
When you see him, know it's on me. When you see him, know it's on me. When you see him, know that it's on me.
Never had a moment where I ever questioned you. You know that. I ain't never stressed with ya. Let me own that. That's why I'm so impressed with ya, blessed with ya. If you notice, I am at my best with ya, Moment where I ever questioned ya. You know that. I ain't never stressed with ya. Let me own that. That's why I'm so impressed with ya, blessed with ya. If you notice, I am at my best with ya.
Okay, we're back here on Virtual Pros episode 104. This is our big annual 2020 predictions episode. Obviously, it's not every year we do the 2020 predictions, but, 2019, 2018, you get it. But this year, this episode, we'll be making our predictions for 2020. I took the liberty of listening to last year's predictions episode to see if we got any right. We didn't, but we got like half rights. We got a couple half rights. Al said that Hiromu would come back, which wasn't really a prediction because obviously he's going to come back, but he said he'd come back to the G1, which is that when he came back? Was that when he made his? He
came after the G1, unfortunately.
Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear you.
I'm not.
Could you please repeat what you...
What's going on, man? I don't even have Siri turned on. This room is haunted, so that's why you probably heard Siri, because I don't even have Siri turned on my phone, but whatever. Anyway, the thing that Al came the most close to getting right is that he said Shibata would come back, and he didn't actually come back, but they teased the hell out of it, as if they listened to Virtual Pros and realized what the people wanted was a Shibata comeback from Wrestling Kingdom, and then it didn't actually happen. So that was close enough. I wasn't completely 100% right, but I said that WWE would either have like a Shotgun Saturday Night kind of racy show, or do something really kind of overboard to try and get the young audience, because AEW is coming out, and there was that rumor that they're going to turn the last hour of Raw into like a more adult-oriented thing, but it was just a rumor. It never actually happened. So I was half right. And the overboard thing they did was introduce the 24/7 title, which was pretty wacky for a couple months, and now it's just like a thing that's on television. But so I'll give myself half credit for that. So I have we usually do 3. I have an extra one because I have a feeling one of my predictions is something that Al could possibly have too, so I'll save that one for last, just in case. But the first one is, I'll go again from I think most realistic, is and I think they said it wouldn't happen, but I don't believe them. But I think that it's high time for an American publisher at least to maybe release a new good wrestling game, because WWE is at the absolute lowest it can be. And AEW is a new promotion that's all for the people and listening to the people and blah, 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 blah. So I don't think they'll have an actual game out by the end of 2020, but I think they'll have at least a shell of a game out by the end of 2020. And obviously, Kenny Omega is known for being a huge video game dork, so I expect it to be a very good game because they have like a guy on hand that loves video games. I'm sure they could even get like Xavier Woods to help because he'd probably love helping make a video game. So I do predict at least some kind of hint or a confirmation that an AEW video game will be out at some point, and that video game will actually be good. The first wrestling video game to be good in this century.
I can get behind this, if only because there was a guy, I think it was last week, he had a sign with the Aki Corporation logo on it. I think they're teasing it, dude. I think it's happening. I mean, the bones are there. I mean, it's not an Aki game, but if someone just reskinned King of Colosseum, I would buy that all day, full price with DLC for sure. So I can get behind this as well. I guess like Mike, I'll go from most realistic to least realistic. Although I do think all three of these things are going to happen. So my first one, if you had asked me like a couple months ago, I would have been like 100,000% sure of this prediction. But with like Wrestle Dynasty being announced, where it's supposed to be like the American equivalent to Wrestle Kingdom, that being announced, and New Japan probably needing like a really marquee match to headline, I'll walk this prediction back a bit, but I still think it's going to happen. I think your G1 winner this year is going to be Will Ospreay, and I think your Wrestle Kingdom main event for 2021 is going to be him versus Naito. They're kind of keeping these two pretty separate. I don't think they had any matches in the G1 last year, so I feel like that's probably the path that they're going to take. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the Ospreay thing is more of a definite than the other thing, I think. I don't know if they're going to have Naito have that title for the whole year, but maybe. But yeah, I think they're going to elevate Will Ospreay. My next, I guess I'll just slip in the one I had that I'm not going to really count, because I think if you said that, then you're probably not going to say it, but it is that I think at this Wrestle Dynasty show at MSG, they get the help of AEW. I think that's going to happen, even though they've kind of swore it off, but I just don't see them booking MSG and looking at how much they have to charge people and like how many seats they have to fill and not trying to get help from other people. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they have such a weird view of America that it'll just be like kind of a failure, because it's gonna be a failure if it's just New Japan. I don't care who they book for it. I don't think it's gonna be this huge success. It's that's a hard building to fill at a lot of money. So I don't know.
I mean, I'm leaning towards going this year because it's my birthday week. But I mean, if they're charging Miami $60 to watch Juice Robinson wrestle twice, like, what are they going to charge MSG? Like $9 million? Like, I don't understand. Yeah. So I could be behind this AEW assistance as well. It'd be pretty interesting if they did do a collab show.
Yeah, something like that, because it's just... And the other thing is, people have been hosed by New Japan for the past year now, so it's kind of hard to trust them when they say it's going to be a Wrestle Kingdom caliber show, because they probably said that about those other shows that sucked. So I don't know. But no, my real, actual ridiculous prediction is that I got a couple, or two ridiculous ones, of course. The first one I'll go with is that if I were WWE, who's known for being incredibly petty about things that their rivals do, I would be the most petty and the most upset about the Jericho Cruise, because this thing has been a success. And I guess Jericho originally went to them first, and they were like, yeah, fuck off, dude. And and I think there was somebody, like, one of those WWF historians out there said they had some sort of cruise back in the day or something, or they sponsored a cruise or something like that, and it was a failure. So it just seems like they would be chomping at the bit to try and do something kind of on the same wavelength, but they can't do a cruise because that would look too ridiculous. It just looked like they're just trying too hard to copy. So they have to do something like a cruise, but not a cruise. And the only thing I could think of in I don't know if Alice had the same experience as I did, or if other people out there, because I don't know if this is like a regional thing or what. But when I was in like 6th to 8th grade, they would do this thing where like at the end of the year, for your field trip, you would go to this place called Holiday Hills, which was like I don't know, I guess it was like a day camp. Like you would go there, and there was like shit, but like other schools went there too. So it was like you were just hanging out with schools all day, and there's like a place where you could like play games or like dance or listen to music, or I think they even had like rides, and it was just like a thing you did all day. And so I could imagine some adult version of that with like WWE guys there, like an adult Holiday Hills, where they're just like, oh yeah, you just take the bus down, and maybe you'll play the volleyball with the Big Show, or maybe you'll see Alexa Bliss DJing, just like this weird thing. So it's sort of just like a cruise on land and like it's like a day camp for adults where they get to hang out with the wrestlers. And I think that's the move WWE is going to have to make to see more personable with their fans.
That's so fucking funny, because I think every school in California had that thing as well, but it was during the year. We went to Sly Park, but there was no DJ or dances there. It was like all nature shit. So you would sleep like in this cabin for like 2 days and take showers outside. It was kind of whack, but whatever.
Yeah, this was not like that. This was fully like playing badminton and volleyball and softball games, and there was like a place where you get pizza and like listen to music and dance and shit like that.
That sounds cool. Like, we just looked at Moss all day, so it's kind of lame.
Yeah, I imagine it's one of those things where if you live in a cold climate where it just sucks for 9 months out of the year, that's why it probably happens more in places like that, because it's like, whoa, you can go outside and see grass, and it's just like, that's amazing, because you don't ever see it. So
so since we're on an AEW tip, my next one, so I mean, a tip of the cap to AEW for making a pretty solid TV show. But there's been some fan uproar about some things that like I wouldn't have thought twice about. Namely, Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley, wrestling too hard, with the barbed wire. I know some people thought it crossed the line. I mean, I recently heard that people were crying in their seats, or, were really bothered about Cody Rhodes, receiving what looked to me as like a pretty, over dramatized, cherry red spanking. I was like, were people really that bothered by it? I mean,
people are crying, Al. Have some compassion.
Dude, like, as the child of immigrant parents, like, that's just a whooping on a Saturday. Like, who fucking cares?
That's how I approached it, too. So I don't, and it's just like, yo, in real life, a fucking pile driver on your head isn't hurt 7,000 times. Who hasn't taken a belt? Like, Jesus Christ, man. Grow up.
That's what I'm saying. And then Cody Rhodes was talking about, I just bruise easily, like, don't be too concerned, fans. It's fucking fine on Observer Radio. And I was like, come on, dude, chill out. And then apparently there's an AEW code of conduct, fan conduct, that they do before every show. And I'm fucking dying to hear what that entails. And as much as you and I love Hangman Adam Page, Booze Hounds, I can totally see someone, criticizing them for making fun of alcoholism and how that shouldn't be used as a comedic device, even though you and I think it's so fucking funny. But long short, I think MJF this year, he's going to push those buttons a little too hard, and he's going to have to break character and have like this after-school special talk with the AEW universe, letting them know that wrestling is fake. I think last week, someone called him a human stain, and then he said, I'm going to leave a human stain on your wife's face. And I think someone was like, come on, MJF, that's too far. You can't say that stuff. And I mean, AEW's been on the air since October, so we're 5 months in. And I just feel like they're on pace for this to happen. I think they're going to have that talk with their fan base about how wrestling is not real, and it's really going to kill MJF in the long run. I think it's going to happen for sure.
I think that is a very safe bet. I think people forget this was also the company where people got upset because they ran those commercials where somebody was smoking in them, like Roddy Piper. No, it wasn't Roddy Piper. Somebody, Jake the Snake. Jake the Snake was smoking, and they're like, I can't believe you would show somebody smoking a cigarette. So it is kind of crazy that they've gotten away with the alcoholism for this long. And that's why I think they're switching it more to what I was thinking, where it's not like he's an alcoholic. He just has to drink because his friends are dorks. which makes sense, and that's not like having a problem. It's just you don't really enjoy your friends too much. But but yeah, so I could see this happening at some point. That they have to do that big speech. So I hope that happens.
You're gonna see that note screenshot on Twitter soon enough, dude, and he's gonna be like, "This is Maxwell talking here. I didn't mean to offend anybody." It's gonna happen, dude. It's gonna suck real bad. I'm not looking forward to it, but it's gonna happen.
My last one is also kind of stems from this whipping angle. What I think somebody on Twitter called like the greatest acting job in history in the last 100,000 years of film or something like people are being like, this is the top 10 moment in television history, something like that. Like, I don't think it was a top 10 moment of television last week. So to settle down, watch more things on television and in the movie theater. And you'll realize that seeing a grown man get whipped and act like a baby about it is not really like this great moment of television history. But anyway, a lot of several people did say it reminded them, and I'll give them this because it was like they made it like a big kind of dramatic thing. And a lot of people said it reminded them of the Sandman Singapore caning Tommy Dreamer. Yeah. And, Tommy Dreamer being a badass about it, and that's kind of what made Tommy Dreamer what he is to this day, because he still wrestles. But, and that's kind of like that's when I started watching ECW, or when I found out. It was like one of the first things I saw was like the Tommy Dreamer Sandman feud. And I think a lot of people forget that the whole Singapore cane thing, which is now called a kendo stick, was because at that time when that happened, was because some kid got caught stealing in Singapore, like an American kid got caught, and they were going to cane him. And it was like this big thing on the news for months. And now, if that happened, it would be like a tweet and no one would care. Like somebody would tweet a video like, can you believe this American kid is getting caned in Singapore? And you'd be like, you probably wouldn't even retweet it. You would just like scroll right past it. But it was like a big thing for months back then. So it was like, oh man, they're going to cane somebody. And it was like this big thing. And now, like I said, the Singapore cane has become a kendo stick, and it's just a thing that's under it's under the rings of so many wrestlings. They just always pulling a kendo stick out and they're hitting people with it, and it's just become this normalized thing. Even though when it happened to Tommy Dreamer, it was like oh shit, that's fucking crazy. He's getting caned with one of those things, but now it's just like a weapon. So I think maybe AEW, but I think more WWE. I think somebody is going to normalize the light tube and make some kind of gimmick light tube. And this is the year where a light tube becomes a weapon in mainstream wrestling. I'm not saying they're going to have thousands of light tube matches. I'm saying somebody's going to get bopped with a light tube every once in a while. And it's just going to be a thing where when they reach under the ring and there's a fucking sledgehammer or a ladder or a kendo stick, there's sometimes going to be a light tube under there. And I think it's going to happen.
I don't know, man. It's a lot. It's a lot to ask. Like, can you really see who Seth Rollins pulling the light tube out against Roman Reigns? I don't know.
Dude, there was a time, you gotta think, like I said, the Singapore cane was crazy. There was a time when I was like, there's nothing more brutal than seeing somebody throw like a bag of tacks on the ground. And that became a thing in WWE. They do that in other wrestling. Like I said, I'm not saying breaking out every fucking show, hitting thousands of them, but it's a cool effect to see every once in a while. So I could see it being slipped in as like a regular weapon in WWE canon.
I would bet on Legos making the debut over light tubes personally, but yeah, maybe. My last prediction. So I feel like the WWE, they usually scoop up one big signing a year from Japan, and with the rumored development of NXT Japan, I think there's one person out there that can make a pretty significant impact. They had an interview recently with New Japan World where they talked about how the WWE has been unsuccessful in raiding talent from Japan for the most part. But I think he's throwing people off the scent here. So my final prediction is Minoru Suzuki. He's going to be your fucking next WWE Japan champion for fucking sure. He's a guy that's freelance, I'm pretty sure. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. I mean, don't quote me on that. I'm just bullshitting here, but I mean, for them to sign him, I mean, he has enough name appeal in America to where I think people would want to tune in and maybe subscribe to the network to see this happen. I mean, if they had him, Sakamoto, who else is freelance, I guess, Meiko Satsumura, I guess I would tune in to see that. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
It's for sure going to happen, man. I think it's going to happen, dude.
I think.
If they need to start off their promotion with one big guy, who else could they get?
I mean, you got a point there, but he's also an old man, though. So I just don't see them saying he's our guy. He's our old guy. He's our old man guy. We want him.
I don't know, man. Jiro Kuroshio, I don't think he's going to move the needles. Minoru Suzuki, though, I think it's going to happen.
I mean, I guess you got a point.
It's happening, man. Talk it into existence. That was it for predictions. If you have any, just send one to virtualpros64@gmail.com. Next up, the world-famous mixtape with Magnum Tokyo, Pegasus Kid, GUNSO, and Survival Tobita. Please stay tuned.
Okay, we are back here on Virtual Pros, episode 104. This is our world-famous mixtape segment. We go to the YouTubes. We each pick a couple matches. We put them on our YouTube playlist, which can be found on Virtual Pros Mixtape, or you can subscribe to our YouTube at VRTL Pros. It might be Virtual Pros, one or the other. And follow along. You want to watch them. You want to watch the past ones that don't get deleted by YouTube. They're all there. So you can follow along. My first match of the night is GUNSO versus Shunma Katsumata from DDT from, I believe, April of last year. It's a match that I chose mostly because, I think...
Was it Discord? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen Gunzo's name only in Discord, so...
Yeah, that's the thing. I think he's a guy who maybe works for Freedoms, too. And, like, a bunch of people were like, when Freedoms does stuff with GCW, they better get GUNSO. And to me, it seemed like one of those things where you just say, like, the first name you could think of that's not going to happen, so you could kind of be outraged about it. It just seemed like one of those things to me, because I've never fucking heard this guy. I'm not saying that's like a big thing. I've never heard a lot of wrestlers, but
yeah.
I was just like, I don't know. I don't think GUNSO is going to be the one that's like the missing jewel to the crown of death matches or whatever. But I was like, maybe I'll give it a chance. Maybe I'm missing out on some huge star. So I put this match on there. The first thing you'll notice about this match is that music plays throughout, and it's I think it would be classified as breakbeat techno music, which was big in the early to mid 2000s. And it's not like one song; it's an actual mix. Like, this match is between 15 and 20 minutes. And, it's, the music is mixed throughout. It's not like it's a song looping over again. It's not like there's track breaks. It's an actual DJ mix. So I would like, I don't know much about this GUNSO guy, so I would like to think his gimmick is that he's a DJ and, he just plays his mixes during his matches. So I was pretty into that. I was like, if this is this guy's gimmick, or he's just like, oh, listen to my new, breakbeat mix. Like, I was working on it all night when I listened to this match. That's a cool gimmick. I like that. He also seems like a very charismatic guy. He seems to be very excited about doing death matches, so that's cool. Early on, this match takes a while to kick into like any other gear besides first. But before it really kicks in any gear, there is a pretty brutal table spot where GUNSO basically throws this man off the top rope outside to the outside onto a table, and he only like sort of like 10% of him lands on this table. It was pretty brutal looking. But then, like I said, it takes a little while for this match to like kick into gear. It finally does. There's finally some blood all over this place. This is a death match, by the way. I should have mentioned that, but it's not like super wild death match, but it's definitely a death match. And then it's a fine match. It's nothing I'm gonna fucking go crazy for. But there's a part where GUNSO breaks out the Legos, and I didn't know that was an international thing. I thought that was just like America. I didn't know Legos had that stigma in places like Japan, so that was kind of a surprise to me. And the people seem to be into it too. Like they're like, whoa, like they were really concerned when he brought out those Legos. So it's definitely a thing all over the place. So I was kind of surprised by that. Also, this match, not to spoil it, I try not to spoil the endings, but I'm gonna spoil this one. GUNSO wins this match, and I don't know if this is his finisher or just a finisher for this match, but I really hope it's his finisher, because I would really get behind him if it was. But he basically, after doing all of this brutal deathmatch stuff, like jumping off of ladders, fucking hitting people with chairs from the ladder, just, all the crazy ladder and stabbing shit. His finisher to win this match is basically just baseball swinging a fucking steel chair into this other dude's head. And, like I said, I don't know if this was just a one-off or if this was just his finisher, but, there's very few times in a death match where I would believe a finisher is just a chair shot, but this is one of them. I was like, okay, that's fair. That is very realistic that he would not get up after that chair shot. So, if that is his finisher, thumbs up for that. This wasn't the greatest match, but, I will keep an eye out for GUNSO. So mission accomplished. I think, it served its purpose, but what did you think, Al?
Yeah, not much else adds to this. So Shunma, he does take one of the gnarliest table bumps I've ever seen, because he doesn't fully land on that table at all. Like, he just eats shit and clips it a little bit. But later on, for whatever reason, when it's time for him to bleed, or to gig rather, it's like he's like so excited to do it. Like, he just can't wait. And so like a serious masochist, like he just does it right in the middle of the ring instead of just doing it like when he rolls outside. So that kind of took me out of the match, but it was still kind of gross to see. I still maintain that the best blade job I've ever seen was probably Shawn Michaels at Bad Blood, because he did that while he was being slingshotted into the cage. And that's artful to me, at least. But yeah, this match was like pretty whatever to me. Like, this video game music is playing in the background, and that kind of actually fit, because it just kind of seemed like I was watching someone play 2K20. Like, none of the match ever really made much sense to me. But you didn't talk about this. The leg drop that GUNSO did on this one guy with the ladder on top, he fucking connected pretty cleanly, and that was pretty gross to see. This wasn't that great, to me at least. My first match of the night is Survival Tobita versus Ape Vergon Saitama Pro Wrestling Company 329, 1999. So, I love Survival's theme music a lot. It kind of sounds like commercial music that you would hear for like your local diner or something. It also looks like this event is being held at like some sort of multi-purpose room at an elementary school, which is pretty on par, I guess, for a Tobita match. But this time he's actually in a ring, as opposed to him wrestling on mats. So I suppose that's an upgrade. I still can't find a Survival Tobita tee. I think I've only come across one in my life. So if you have a USA medium or large, let me know. I think the one time I did find one for sale, before it sold, this guy had a collection of like Monster Energy hats. And I was like, it's pretty on brand for that person. Wrestling wise, I gotta give it to Ape here. Cause I feel like he just wrestles like a real ape would. A lot of throwing with power, a lot of climbing on shit. It's pretty remarkable. But double props for Tobita, because he's wrestling an ape like I think I would. A lot of eye gouging. He does a pile driver. So for me, this is a pretty solid recommendation. What'd you think?
Yeah, so for you guys who don't know, Survival Tobita is the real originator of the no-ring deathmatch. This guy is for real the one who invented this shit. Also, this gives me a good opportunity to mention that I bought the Survival Tobita trading card that's been on eBay for the past year. I finally just bought it. Like I think it might have even been on eBay for longer than a year, but I just never bought it because it's only like $4, but it's also $4 shipping, and just the principle of that, I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm too proud to spend 100% shipping on something. But finally I was like, I buy dumber shit for $8. So I bought it, immediately put it somewhere, and I have no idea where I put it. So that's how quick joy lasts in my life. I was joyful about this for maybe 2 seconds. I don't even know where the fuck it is anymore, but I'm glad I own it, and I'll come across it someday. I never knew how to pronounce ape Virgon. Well, I knew ape, but the last one, I don't know if that was just like a English spelling for virgin or what, but I guess it's Virgon. Also, this is what I like to call the SPWC arena, because this is also where the match versus Ken the Box took place in Automatic Warrior and all the classic Survivor Tobita battles. It is a very plain looking multi-purpose room, but if I was to ever tour Japan, Japan's famous wrestling venues, this would be pretty high on my list, because a lot of history happened in this room, so I would love to visit it. There's a thing that you might not catch because it's not like it's very pronounced, but you can see Survival Tobita praying before the match starts, which I think shows that he's probably an underrated wrestling actor. I would put this in the top 10 wrestling acting jobs, along with Cody being whipped. Survival Tobita praying before fighting a gorilla is I cried. I actually cried watching this. It was so emotional. Also, this match is weird because it initially ends in a double count out. So yeah. I was like, yeah, they got this ring, and then they didn't even use it. After this dude never wrestling in a ring. So I thought that was pretty funny. But then Survival Tobita gets on the mic and he tells them to restart it. So I don't know if that was on purpose or not. I feel like they really got counted out because they didn't know there was going to be a count or something. But yeah, I mean, this is a Survival Tobita match. You're gonna love it or hate it. I love this shit, so definite high recommend for me. My last match of the night is Magnum Tokyo tagging with Tenryu versus Minoru Suzuki and Masaki Mochizuki from 2006 Dragon Gate. I chose this because, as Al said at the top of the show, they did a Toryumon reunion at some point within the last couple weeks. And I was like looking for something like that, kind of around those lines. And I saw this match pop up, and I was like, that's an odd pairing of people. I'll check that out. I figured it was going to kind of be a bullshit match because it's like, if it wasn't, I would have probably heard about it or something, or somebody would have made a gif of it or something. So, it's clipped too, and that always kind of hurts. But it's whatever. I don't need to see the whole match fucking 15 years later or whatever it is. Tokyo Magnum, this is 2006, wrestling still kind of thriving in Japan. Tokyo Magnum gets to do a full dance number here. And I could say those words, and if you haven't seen this, you probably imagine somebody doing a dance for 10 to 15 seconds. No, he's doing a full dance number. Like, this is lasting, and it's pretty impressive, because I don't think anybody on Earth would get this much time unless it was like WrestleMania to do some stupid shit like this. So that's pretty cool. And I always say I think wrestling needs more dance numbers, and it's not just the ladies. The guys can do it too. Tokyo Magnum has it here. It's also sad to see that at this point, I don't really know. I kind of lost touch with Tokyo Magnum after the early stages of Toryumon. I would see him here and there, but kind of lost touch. I don't know what the deal is, like why he retired, why he hates I don't know if he hates Toryumon or what the deal is, but I guess he's done. He's never going to wrestle again. So I don't know if maybe this is the reason why, or this is kind of leading to it, or this is the end of his career, but he's relegated to just being a t-shirt wrestler at this point, which means a little too fat to not wear a t-shirt. That's kind of sad. But I guess it works. Speaking of wrestlers getting fat, Tenryu's straight up wearing a girdle during this match. He's wearing the regular high-waisted trunks, but then he has it to look like he's wearing even higher-waisted ones. But if you look real close, there's a ridge there, so it's obviously one is a girdle, and then the rest of it is his trunks. So that's strange to notice. Magnum Tokyo's tattoos not aging well. He has very tiny kind of Godsmacks on, and then a tribal armband. And I really hope he's gotten those laser treated right off, because they really stink. They stunk in 2006. It's 2020, man. I hope those are gone from your body. There's a part in this match where Tenryu throws a bottle in the direction of Suzuki, and Suzuki kind of throws it back. A water bottle, I should say, not like a beer bottle or anything. And I think that was real, because that had some real actual shoot energy to it, where I was like, I don't think that was planned. I don't think Suzuki liked that bottle being thrown at him either. And so yeah, watch for that if you watch this match, because I think that little part was real. There's a spot in this where Suzuki does a sleeper hold to Tenryu, and Tenryu sells it by drooling all over his face. And you could tell he couldn't get the spit because he's probably sweating. He's an old man, so it's that gross white spit when you don't have any hydration in your body, and it just kind of rests on his chin for a good several minutes after the sleeper hold's lost. So it's kind of disgusting. Otherwise, a pretty whatever match. It's pretty fine. It's a fun pairing, and it's fun to see these guys kind of work together. I've never been a Masaki Mochizuki fan. He's always kind of been like the third or fourth guy that I always forget about from Torimon. But yeah, it's a fun curiosity thing, but nothing essential.
Besides Magnum Tokyo and Batista, I feel like there's one other person that has the Godsmack tattoo. It's slipping my mind. So listeners, if you know, please let me know. Maybe I'll start a new Instagram for Godsmack tattoo wrestlers and just have 3 people on there. Minoru Suzuki superfans, like, how many versions of Kaze Ninare are there? And how many has Suzuki used? I feel like I've heard 6, but just please confirm this for me, because I think this is a new version for whatever reason. So as most of you know, I didn't really watch wrestling during 2006. So the thought of Tenryu in a Dragon Gate ring, of all places, where I think being visual is kind of important. It was kind of cracking me up the entire match. Like, is there a photo book that Tenryu did during this time with Dragon Gate? Like, did he wear normal size underwear for that photo shoot? Like, did he push those titties together in that pictorial? If you have that photo book and a scanner, hook me up. I want to see it. Yeah, nothing else to add here, but, just looking at who's in the match, you can tell who's going to eat the pin, if you watch wrestling for a while. But yeah, with that said, for the Spit fans out there, this is going to be up your alley for sure. And I thought it was a pretty fun comedy match. I liked it a lot. The last match of the night is Pegasus Kid versus El Samurai, New Japan Pro Wrestling, top of the Super Juniors Finals, 6/14/1993. I've never gotten any confirmation, but, like, can anyone confirm if this was actually Pegasus Kid's theme or not? It's a pretty wussy theme. Speaking of wussy, El Samurai, I don't think he hit puberty yet because he doesn't have the mustache, which was kind of a bummer to me, honestly. If you want to talk about moves that, like, freak me the fuck out, I know Mike has a thing about top rope stomps, but anytime anyone... So, like, for example, if someone is, like, doing that bridge on their neck and then another person jumps on them while they're doing the neck bridge thing, I don't know. Like, I feel like one mistimed landing could just snap someone's neck in half like a fucking Pez dispenser. Like, and for what? Like, for nothing. Like, I never got why wrestlers did this shit. There's, like, no reward for this risk. So, I don't know. I don't want to see it again. I just feel like it's too scary. I might get emotional. I actually got emotional watching that. I almost cried. But yeah, like, a lot of this match for the finals, especially, is like a lot of stretching, and I was kind of confused. I was like, this is the fucking finals of the TOSJ. Like, I thought they'd be going a lot harder, but it's a lot of stretching. So while I was being kind of bored by this match, I was looking at the outfits at ringside. And they're pretty incredible. 2 Cold Scorpios outside. He has a Slamboree staff tee that would probably go for like $100 today. Dean Malenko, he has a tucked in Hard Rock Cafe shirt, which is pretty sweet. Whatever the fuck Fit Finley has on is pretty good too. I think the real outfit was a 1-2-3 Kid at ringside. He looked like he was dressed going to his first interview. He had like this long sleeve Macy's button up tucked into his jeans. I thought that was great. Luckily, though, this match, it really starts to pick up towards the end with Samurai hitting what could be best described as a top rope Saito suplex, which looked pretty fucking nuts to me. I don't want to spoil the ending, but I can't help it. This has to be one of the most unintentionally funny stretcher spots I've ever seen in my life. I was fucking dying when I saw this stretcher spot. This match was whatever. But I feel like the last 4 minutes are a must watch. What'd you think?
I would like to know what happened to this Pegasus kid character, because he seemed like he had a lot of promise back then, and he just kind of disappeared, as if
right.
he's just left this earth. It's real weird. You'd think he'd have a bigger career. I disagree with this puberty thing, because El Samurai has some very serious, pronounced armpit hair in this match, and
well, why is it not on his lip, dude? Why is it not on his lip?
You don't see that too often. This guy has like a full bush under his arms, and I'm sure people were like not too pumped to be wrestling him. I don't know. Also, El Samurai, very underrated mask design. This is a pretty cool mask design, especially this one that he's wearing in this match. So there's a lot of stretching in this, but I would say it's more erotic. It's kind of erotic stretching, a lot of erotic holds going on in the beginning. The men can be erotic too. It's not just the ladies, so maybe it's a little for the ladies. A little more ladies probably watching New Japan back then. It makes sense. This is also the era where Chris Benoit looked more like Michael J. Fox than you would imagine. So they kind of
a little bit. I can see that.
A couple weeks ago, a friend of the show, Stash Pages, in a group chat mentioned to us that up until, I guess, this month, Stash Pages thought El Samurai was a Mexican. And
dude, you can't talk about group chat shit in the fucking podcast, dude. That's crazy. Well, Stash, I apologize, dude.
I just wanted to bring it up because it's a good time for me to mention. That seems hilarious to me, but at the same time, up until he kind of grew his hair out, I thought Kamitachi, aka Hiromu, was Mexican too, and he's not even wearing a mask.
Come on, Mike. Are you kidding me? That guy looks
I'm not
so
kidding
Japanese.
You. Not when he had that short hair. When he had the short hair, he kind of looks like a Mexican dude. So
I'm gonna have to edit this one out, Mike.
But yeah, so there's a part where they tumble outside, and Benoit, or Pegasus Kid as he is known, whips El Samurai into a guardrail, and he falls on the ground. And there's a bunch of blood on the floor. It's not from El Samurai or Chris Benoit. What happened? Anybody out there knows this card or what the undercard was? What has happened where there's a bunch of blood on the floor? At least I think it's blood. I guess it could have been like ice cream or something, but I'm pretty sure there's fucking blood on the floor. And so yeah, if anybody knows what the rest of this card was, I'd really like to know what that blood was from. I don't agree with Al at all. I think this match is great. I do think in the beginning they go a little too long with the erotic stretching. This is pre-94, which is I think where the New Japan juniors and juniors in general really kicked in high gear. So I don't think the style's perfected yet. But this is my annual time to say I think this mid-90s New Japan Juniors is the best style of wrestling in the entire history of wrestling. And so this might not be the greatest match of that history, but it's kind of a proto version of what they would be better at. It's a lot more believable, I think. It's kind of bridging the old school to the new school at the time. So it's definitely a high recommendation for me. Also, so this is the top of the Super Juniors, so it's like a big contest if you don't know. At the end, the winner, I won't spoil it for you, the winner gets a big oversized check. And I thought that was really great because, again, just much like the Legos, I didn't know that was an international thing, people getting big oversized checks. So that was pretty cool. Recommendation from me, even though it might not be your first New Japan Junior choice, but I still thought it was a great match.
That was episode 104 of That World Champion Sound. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTLPros. If you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. Next episode, I believe we're going to do some trade season, which was low-key my favorite episode of last season, or last year, I mean. So look forward to that. Mike, any last words?
Hey, thanks for keeping in touch, and thanks for crying over wrestling.
Stay emotional, guys. 105 in 2 weeks.